As always, Ted, kick us off. Who do you have as your winner of the weekend?
They did it. They did it. Unbelievable. Iowa, Gabe. Iowa got over the number 25 points. They hit the massive number of 41 against Western Michigan, trying to get back ahead of the curve whenever it comes to their points average for Coach Brian Ferentz.
That's huge news. Are you just going to give us an Iowa scoring update every single week, pretty much?
Probably. Yeah. I think it's telling whenever you're beating Western Michigan and you're still trying to pad the stats late in the game in the fourth quarter, trying to punch some in.
Now, the most impressive part is they didn't score on defense at all. Those are all offensive scores, pal.
Yep. All offensive scores. You got to love it. Such a weird dynamic. I've grown to dislike Iowa football for whatever reason. I don't know what it is. I actually should like the way that they perform, but I don't know. There's something there. I've been rooting against them for quite some time, but they got up back ahead of the curve. But once they start Big Ten play, let's all be honest, they won't score more than 17.
We'll see. That defense is pretty legit, though.
They are. They're good.
So, yeah, it is. I do enjoy you keeping us updated. Thank you. I will say, I saw some of that game. Caden McNamara he had a couple interceptions. He still doesn't look healthy. Like, their quarterback situation is strange.
Well, yeah.
It's Iowa. Okay, yeah, good point.
Iowa. When have they not been what, you got to go back to like Banks at quarterback? Like, how many game changers have they had at quarterback? I don't it's very minimal. Very minimal.
Yeah. It's good though. Hey, 41 for the Hawkeyes. Good for you guys. That's awesome. All right, who do you have as your loser of the weekend?
A bunch of options this weekend, by the way. It was a weird week, but I couldn't settle on Alabama or Iowa State. Both look bad. Probably have to go towards Iowa State since they lost the game and Alabama won. But, as I learned in White Men Can't Jump, sometimes when you win, you actually lose. So Bama had to qualify as loser of the week as well. Wow.
It was 3-3 at halftime of that game. And for the vast majority of the fourth quarter, it was a one-score football game. But I think Bama scored with like 30-something seconds left to go in the game to win 17-3. I know they're coming off a tough loss, right? Everyone's telling them how bad they are. It's almost like they believed people. It was really strange to see them struggle with the team like South Florida for that long. I can only imagine what that fan base is feeling right now. Oh my gosh.
It's crazy because to me, the strangest thing about it is how bad their offensive line is playing. That's been like one of the hallmarks. The amount of draft picks they've had at offensive line during Saban's tenure has been huge, and they've got great recruits there. They still have, like, technically speaking, if you go off like the star rating, the best roster in all of college football, but it don't look like it when you watch that offensive line. That left tackle, he ain't got it. And I don't know what they're going to do, but this could potentially be a really bad year for Alabama, like really bad, if they don't pull it together, which they're still capable of pulling things together, but something better happen quickly.
I honestly, there was so much being made about their quarterback situation coming into the year, right? They'd had such a good run that a big part of me was just like, oh, they got another guy. Like,
and
they have to have another
be so
guy.
good everywhere else that even you'll make a subpar quarterback compared to what you've had previously look way better than he is, right? But
yeah, they'll be fine.
Right.
I mean, but they started Buckner. Ty Simpson came in. They were a combined 10 of 23 for 107 yards. At Alabama, with those skill guys, and I know a lot of people, oh, they don't have like first rounders at wide receiver. Well, they got a bunch of day two picks, day three guys, like 107 yards passing for Bama.
And they didn't play Georgia.
No, they played South Florida.
You shouldn't need a bunch of first round picks to go handle South Florida.
I don't know, man. Yeah, that was very. I thought that they were going to murder that team. Like the bounce back. I thought it was going to be the big bounce back. Like, oh, pray for those young men from South Florida. They're catching Bama just like at their angriest point, and that's not what happened. And that was strange. But hey, at least they won the game, and Nick Saban didn't try to come after anyone like Matt Campbell did with that guy that was yelling at him. What do you say? Gosh. Hot seat, Campbell.
You're on the hot seat, Campbell. You're on the hot seat. Which last thing on the Bama deal, real quick though, like what I saw from that game, my biggest takeaway was how in the hell did they keep it within 10 with Texas? Right. Yeah. But Iowa State, man, it's been a horrible offseason for them. And it's like offensively, there's just nothing there. Nothing. And that's somewhat been the case for them at times, but dude, they're in a world of hurt.
Ohio scored 10 points and won the game. I mean, their offense, you can say whatever you want about the system. It's been the same problem the last couple of years. Their offensive line stinks. Mm-hmm. They stink. They couldn't run the ball against Ohio. They had 38 yards rushing against Ohio. Rocco Becht was their leading rusher. Cartavius Norton, who I don't know if you've seen him, number 5 for them. That dude is built. And he's got some juice, man. 9 carries, 15 yards. Their O-line stinks. Jeez. Their defense gave up 10 points and they lost to Ohio. Can you imagine the divide in that locker room right now? Like, hey, guys, can we please get some help? Brutal.
I mean, I don't know what the future holds there for Campbell. I mean, I think he's safe. Like, he's a good coach. He's going to be doing everything he can to make some offensive changes. But at some point, he's probably going to lose his DC, isn't
he? I don't know. Haycock's kind of an older guy. I think he's just. But did Campbell miss his opportunity to take like a big job?
Probably.
Starting to feel that way, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he was the hottest name in the streets for multiple years.
They had
that program
that came through that was just had so many really, really good players, and they had like 8 tight ends on their team. And that's like, I don't know how good their offensive line ever really was, but they were so good at tight end and they could do so many different things out of that 13 personnel. They were just hell to deal with because they could power run game you, but they could split those guys out and have mismatches. They don't have that anymore.
No. We'll see how it goes for them in Big 12 play, but a rough start to the season for the Cyclones. All right, let's get to my winner and loser. But first,
elevate your tailgate with Chapel Supply and Equipment in Oklahoma City. Chapel Supply and Equipment has generators and inverters on hand that'll give you all the power you need so you can take your tailgate to the next level. They also have the top of the line heaters to keep you warm during those cold tailgates later in the season. They're Oklahoma owned and operated. Elevate your tailgate by calling 405-495-1722 or visit chapelsupply.com. That's CHAPPELL supply.com.
And First Fidelity Bank is a full-service financial institution based in Oklahoma with tailored solutions for all your personal and business needs. Checking accounts, saving accounts, home loans, and much more. They do it all. Whether it's online banking from your computer or mobile banking from your phone, everything is stress-free with FFB. Making mobile deposits, paying bills online, and moving money to different accounts could not be easier. Come on now, people. Make your life easier and go bank with First Fidelity Bank. Visit ffb.com for more information.
And head to opolisclothing.com for our podcast merchandise and the best OU gear out there. That's OPOLIS clothing.com. Use promo code TED, TED, for 10% off. That's opolisclothing.com. Use promo code TED for 10% off. Buttery soft and 10% off.
For my winner of the weekend, give me the Florida Gators.
Big win.
Not how I thought this one was going to go, especially with the way that the game started, right? Florida misses that field goal. Joe Milton takes the balls right down the field. And I think a lot of people, including myself, were like, uh-oh, Florida, you might be in trouble. False. Run game was fantastic for the Gators, right? You think about how that game started, and then Travis Etienne just rips off that long touchdown run. And it was all Florida for the most part the rest of the way, man. I mean, that's a really nice win for that football team, especially with how they looked, going and losing to Utah, just how unorganized and sloppy it looked. For them to play that way, to really dominate the point of attack in that game, huge for the program, really big for Billy Napier. And now Tennessee has lost 10 straight in the swamp. 10
That's
straight.
Brutal. That's crazy. I thought that they were like, there's a lot of those streaks with Tennessee right now. The Alabama one that they finally got over the hump on. I thought hype was going to be tearing down all those old streaks, but that's a tough one, man. I still think Tennessee should have won that game. I know it ended up not looking like that down the stretch.
I do not think they should have, because we talked about the lack of space in OU's rushing attack.
Yeah.
Space on space on space. Now, Etienne and Johnson. Johnson's a hell of a back too. Both of those guys, some of those one-on-one situations made guys miss, ripped off big runs. And the tackling for Tennessee was not good. It was not good. You give the Florida guys credit. You also have to say, hey, Vols, you got to tackle better, especially in their secondary. But that Florida offensive line was doing work, man. I don't think there was anything really fluky about this. I think Florida kind of beat them up at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. I mean, there is kind of a trend, though, whenever you look across a lot of the games, and it's typical early in the season, but we're not that early in the season. A bunch of unforced errors and mistakes, penalties, free runners, and teams uncharacteristic of what good football teams typically do. And I can't tell nationally if anybody is any good.
I got no idea, man.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know if anybody's any good. Even Oklahoma, I go from thinking this looks like a conference championship football team to we're going to lose to Cincinnati next week. Who knows who's good and who's not.
I've got no clue. But in that game, Tennessee, they were the ones that made the major mistakes.
Yep.
Right? You had the Milton interception, which, by the way, people are just making it sound like he just threw it that way. The guy got hit when he was throwing the ball. Can we just tone it down a little bit on the criticism for him? They had, how many false starts did they have? So many. They had all the missed tackles. And then they had the worst play I've seen. Tennessee had the worst play I've seen all year long up to this point in college football. 4th and 1. Florida is on their own 33-yard line. 4th and 1, own 33. What happens? Mertz claps. He just claps.
Oh.
And the defensive tackle for Tennessee jumps off sides. First down. I
Probably
thought
not even
Josh
going to snap
Heupel.
the ball, or were they?
No, they weren't going to snap the ball. They were in complete control of the game, and they were on their own 33. I I thought Josh Heupel was going to pass away in that moment. I mean, out of all this, it's the stupidest play I've seen all year long up to this point. But I really didn't think Joe Milton was that bad. Was he Hendon Hooker level good? No, but I thought he was all right. I thought he's fine. Run game just really didn't get going for the Vols. Right. And on the other hand, Florida's run game was just fantastic. And Mertz he had another nice game manager type of game, Ted.
Yeah. If you can't run the ball and you can't stop the run, it's hard to go on the road and beat anyone of any substance. Right.
No doubt.
In that environment, that's how you could take the crowd out of it, take the momentum out of it. And if you miss tackles, turn the ball over, make mental errors in critical moments, you can't beat anyone that's any good.
I am going to bring up my old man complaint once again. My last thought on this game. Right? And I know it's different when you're in the stadium, but I was watching this on television. Please stop turning the lights out when the guys score. The celebration's like the part I want to see. It's like they're showing him, they got the up close camera and it's dark. Don't turn the lights off. I want to see him celebrate. I know that the big rage in college football is the light show when touchdowns are scored. I get it. But I don't like watching it on TV. It sucks.
I've got a fix. Like they've got the run on the field camera guy that does the celebration. They need a run on the field spotlight guy.
Yes. It's a brilliant idea.
Just spotlight the individual guy that scored the touchdown and the celebration with the teammates and whatever he's doing for the people on TV. Let everyone in attendance enjoy the light show and all of that stuff. Easy fix. You got to complain to the right people, though.
Yeah. Who do we know at ESPN that can make this happen?
I don't know anyone at ESPN.
Holly Rowe. I'm texting her. Hey, fix this. Fix this. I want to see him celebrate. I don't want it to be dark when the guys are celebrating after scoring awesome touchdowns. Thank you for coming.
All it looks like is they lost power in the stadium at a weird moment.
Yeah.
Is what it looks like on TV.
Yeah, and I can't see him celebrate. That's like the best part. But once again, I know it's a very old man take. I'm getting up there, though. So here we are.
Not bad.
All right. For my loser of the weekend, thought about going with Cincinnati. One job. Beat Miami of Ohio to set up an exciting football game next weekend. Fox Big Noon kickoff, your first Big 12 game. You're hosting Oklahoma, who has carried the banner for this conference for forever. One job. Also, don't make Teddy and I look like idiots because we've been telling people how good they look. Not helpful, Cincinnati.
And I think it's a horrible scenario. Obviously, like nationally, you wanted it to be a big matchup, but no matter what you say, it's harder to like. If a team loses to someone bad, it affects like how someone prepares for them. It's human nature, right?
Correct.
It's like, oh, they lost to Miami of Ohio. They can't be that good. And the guard just comes down a little bit. Not a good scenario.
Don't like it. One job, Cincinnati. That defense, they got gashed, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I haven't watched the tape yet,
yeah.
But I'm interested to see because the defense that you and I had watched for them up to that point, what happened? I don't know yet, but we'll let people know when we preview the game.
Yeah. The gashes they had against Pittsburgh, which there was a couple of them, were typically as the quarterback was getting hit by five guys, he was like throwing the ball like that, and someone would happen to catch it. I wonder if the same thing happened against Miami.
I don't know. We'll let you guys know on our preview episode. All right, but my loser of the weekend, Oklahoma State. Yikes. I mean, game was never close.
No.
Never close. Got dominated by South Alabama on their own field, 33-7, and absolutely nothing fluky about it. South Alabama, it was the more physical team. It was the better team at the line of scrimmage. It had better skill players. I mean, Ted, I don't know. I'm not a historian on Oklahoma State football. This is the worst loss. Like, this has to be the lowest point that fan base has felt in a very long time. Like, getting smacked by K-State last year, that's one thing, okay?
Right.
K-State ended up winning a conference title. South Alabama comes to your house and does this. Whoa.
Again, a weird week in college football. I don't know if anyone's any good. Cincinnati loses to Miami. Iowa State loses to, I can't even remember off the top of my head. Ohio. Oklahoma State loses to South Alabama. I mean, it just was not a good week for the Big 12. Like, Kansas State loses to Missouri. At least that's a Power 5 football program. I mean, that's tough. And you're right. Not a fluke. Like, what was that game? Was it Central Michigan?
Yeah, the Hail Mary game.
Yeah, like a bunch of weird things happened in that game. And not
Right.
that that makes it okay, but nothing weird happened in this game. You got run over.
Yeah. South Alabama had the most impactful quarterback in Carter Bradley, most impactful running back in LaDamian Webb, most impactful wide receiver in Colin Lacey, who, by the way, it better be a family name. That guy spells Colin, Caullin. What are we doing? Caullin. Colin. Just brutal. Now, you run by guys like he did, I guess you can spell it however you want, but just a brutal spelling. A brutal spelling.
That's funny.
But I've said this for years now, and I think Oklahoma State fans, they've agreed with me on it, but, you know, I'm an OU guy, so they're saying you're just being extra critical of Oklahoma State. Their offensive line stinks. They stink. I mean, it's gross. It's been years now. They can't get anything going consistently in their running game. It's bad. QBs were getting hit. I mean, had some impactful plays in this game called back for holding on the O-line. And now, I will say, Oklahoma State's quarterbacks could use a lesson in what we call stepping up into the pocket as opposed to floating just aimlessly to the edges and into the arms of defenders.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just the offensive line play for them. It's poor. I mean, it's poor.
Well, and this is a topic for another day, perhaps, but it feels as if there is an epidemic of poor offensive line play across the country. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the style of offenses. I don't know what's going on, but there's some really bad offensive line play out there.
Yeah.
On Power 5 teams. And I get it. Not everyone's going to be loaded with a bunch of 5-star talent, but
can I share one thought on it?
Sure.
I think RPOs and how some college teams utilize those, I think it's quite possibly the most detrimental thing to high-level offensive line play that we've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys are being coached to be super measured off the ball, right? Don't get too far downfield, because if the quarterback gets this certain look, then he's going to throw it in behind the linebacker, and that changes how you coach the techniques. And I think it's all shit.
I agree.
Come off the rock and hit someone, man. Play with velocity and violence. And if you swing and miss, it's all right. Let's go. Next snap. That guy across from you is going to know it's coming. I am pouring it downhill at you all day long.
Yeah.
Let's go. And we've got all this slow step, waddling shit. It's some of it is awful to watch. It's awful. I hate it.
Yeah.
And I think it's all RPO related. And I think that's why you see so many teams struggle to like truly run the ball at a high level, because it's everything. Like some teams, like they may not even call it just a true run play throughout a game. It's like, hey, there's a bubble, there's a slant, there's a quick out built on everything. And I get you want to have options, but let your guys come off the rock some, man. It's just, as you can tell, I get frustrated with
Hey,
it.
I'm with you. I don't know. Like networks, people are like, they're convinced that that's what people want to see. And I don't know, man. I flat out disagree.
The way to improve, I believe this wholeheartedly.
Play the same rules as the NFL.
Correct. The number one way you can improve offensive line play in college football is to apply the same illegal man downfield rules as the National Football League.
Yeah.
Because then all the RPO shit goes away.
Yeah.
Can't do it. You can't have your tackle waddling up to a linebacker, sneaking up on him 4 yards down the field with the quarterback saying, "Oh, I'm going to throw the slant in behind."
Yep.
Take it out and we'll get better offensive line play. I hate it with every fiber of my being. That being said, Oklahoma State's offensive line still stinks.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
Gunnar Gundy looks the best to me, and maybe it's because of what he can do with his legs. But I don't know. I think they should just roll with him, personally. But that is a brutal loss for Mike Gundy. I mean, people will put up with all this stuff if you're winning games, right? But if you're getting housed by South Alabama on your own field, all that stuff he does, it gets real old real quick.
And you could see that in the post-game press conference. Some pushback going on. And like that's a locker room dividing, a locker room losing type of loss. I mean, they better get things right quickly, or it could turn into a real nightmare.
One last thing on that game. Proud parenting moment. So my wife went to that game with two of her best friends who are both Oklahoma State grads. First of all, don't even think about it. Like no one in my family wore orange. Hell no. Made that very clear. It was white and black, okay? Should have worn crimson, damn it.
Yeah.
But my 2-year-old went to the game. Of course, did not wear any orange, just some generic football gear, right? Like kind of like football pajamas almost. And I guess he was just screaming boomer the entire time, which is yeah.
You guys should have thrown him in an OU 30 jersey, Trace Ford jersey.
Oh man,
that would have gone over well.
That would have been really good. That would have been good. But proud parenting moment. Just
That's
my son
awesome.
at an Oklahoma State game because my wife's friends, they both have daughters my son's age. So he's hanging out with his two best friends and just like, "Hey, boomer, let's go." Yeah,
he's
yes,
going to be
son.
the boomer guy growing up that yells it in a crowded group of people.
Undoubtedly. Undoubtedly going to be that guy.